think you said that Jesus say.
Which verses?
No, I don't. Listen, as I told you, I'm not a fanatic Christian. I'm not.
Yeah, so why are you getting so upset and making things up? Yeah, but this is the thing.
Where
You're not making any sense.
That's subjugated. That
God,
Islam
okay.
shouldn't say what Jesus said.
So-
Islam should say what Muhammad said. Christian, the apostles, and all these should say what Jesus said. And in Judaism, the Moses and the rest of them.
So
say what
Christianity
Moses said.
shouldn't say what Moses said, because
you just
Moses,
said-
listen, I'll let you speak, listen, we have to have dialogue. We have to have dialogue.
Yeah.
So first you said that God Almighty died, yeah? Now I told you, from a Muslim point of view, we can say, oh, our feelings are hurt. This is ludicrous, we can't say that. Same way, if we say that the prophets are Muslim, it shouldn't hurt your feeling, we give you explanation as to why.
But
So
you take the thing
it's
that
not a
Jesus
good
said-
argument.
Yeah, but you take. Okay, let's say you don't.
No, cut all of this. What's your belief? Why do you
don't-
believe?
okay,
Why
you
do you
don't copy-
believe that
but
Jesus is
why-
free?
you're not
I gave you
copying.
evidence, yeah.
Yeah,
I gave you
I'm
evidence,
trying
yeah.
to-
I gave you
yeah,
evidence where
I'm
Jesus
trying
says,
to-
yeah.
yeah.
Sure. I gave you evidence. I want to stick to the point. I gave you evidence from the Bible where Jesus clearly subjugates himself to the Father in almost all letters of Paul that he wrote. There's 13 letters. He says Jesus, the servant of God. This is what the discussion started. Why do Muslims call ourselves servant of God? Why does Paul call Jesus the servant of God? Why is it that's okay for him, but it's not okay for us?
Paul also says that Jesus is not a man. In one of the first letters of the New Testament written, Galatians,
Yeah.
it opens with Paul, an apostle, not from men nor through man, but through Jesus Christ. So if you're going to quote Paul, you have to
That's
quote
not what he said. What's your name?
That's not what he said.
No, I know exactly Galatians. What are you doing? Ethan, nice to meet. Okay, Hamza.
Lovely to meet you.
Okay, so for Paul, yeah, this is another argument actually against you, yeah. I know Galatians. So Galatians is one of the churches that he preached to, and the Galatians were turned into a gospel other than the gospel that Paul was giving him, right?
The text is right there.
I
It literally
know.
says that Jesus Christ is not a
No, he
man.
doesn't
I
say
don't know why
Jesus.
you're doing backstory.
No, look, you can act silly, but Jesus was a man. It says in the Bible, Jesus was a man from Nazareth. Listen, Ethan. Jesus says, yeah, he was a man.
God, you have to read.
I know Paul, I know Galatians, because I've read them.
So
I
when you give me a
understand.
really strange hermeneutics-
You're not listening, you're not here to listen.
Say it
Ethan,
again.
you're not here to listen.
No, he's saying.
It's a fake discussion. It's a fake discussion. I've had lots of discussions with Christians. I don't mind dialoguing, but it has to be real. But that was a bit weird. Anyway, in Galatians, Paul is writing to the church of Galatia because they are turning to a gospel other than the gospel that he told them to do. Now, in this, he says to them, he's telling them, I didn't get this from my own. In fact, I didn't even get this from the disciples. What he is saying, he didn't get this from men who are alive. Rather, he says this. No, it is. Any exegesis will tell you this. And I don't know where you get this exegesis, but this is not the plain reading. I will. I know, but I will. But listen, he says that he got this from the risen Jesus. From a risen Jesus. Because Paul says, look,
Just read it. It's right in front of you. Why are you shying away from it?
I'm gonna read it, but why are you agitated for, Ethan? You say it's agitated. So look. Okay, Paul, an apostle who is not from men or through man, yeah? Paul, yeah? But through Jesus Christ,
Not through man,
meaning
through
the
Jesus
living. Paul believed that Jesus was thing. He said, in all of his letters that Jesus was who? The servant of the Father. Yes or no?
Not all of them.
Okay, almost all of them.
Yeah.
So let's pull it up. So this, let me show you now.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, you're not disagreeing. But here's the thing: you can't just pull up one verse and say this is what it means in the
Pull
time.
out these verses and say,
No,
St. Paul said
Ethan.
X, Y, Z.
I didn't
You
do
need to
that.
read
When did I
St.
do?
Paul.
When did I do that? I just explained to you what Galatians was, when it was written. Who? No, listen, look, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening. You have to listen. We have to talk to each other.
You shouldn't
Ethan. Okay, no problem. This is not a genuine discussion. Okay, I'll speak to the crowd, because if you don't want, it's up to you. So Galatians is one of the letters, one of the 13 letters that Paul wrote as the epistles. Yeah. So Paul, he wrote, they say up to 13, but there's something about called pseudepigrapha. They assume maybe 6 or 7 of his letters aren't actually written by him, and they look at his writing, they look at the syntax, they look at the punctuation, they look at the amount of words in the sentence. You know, when you WhatsApp in someone, it automatically tells you what you're going to write. This is what scholars do with the writings of Paul, and they realize not all of these books of Paul, like Hebrews, definitely not written by Paul, because it doesn't come in the same style of Pauline writings. Paul usually starts his letters, by saying, by saying, I'm writing to this church. And the church letter he's talking about specifically is the church of Galatia. Now, if he even disagrees, he can do. It says in the letters of Galatia that Paul is writing them because they are turning away from his message. They're going to a different gospel. And he there is justifying why he should be listened to, but though he didn't get his message from man or men, rather he believes he got his message from the risen Jesus. Now, if Ethan, you're listening, Paul says in his own words, and it also says by Luke in Acts when he's eulogizing him, he says, on the road to Damascus, Paul, who was known as Saul, he saw Jesus in a vision, not in the flesh.
Can I also speak some
But not from emotion.
Can I also speak
Do you understand what you said? Where did he say that? Yeah, that you said. Where did he say that it was a risen Jesus?
No, I didn't say
You did that. You asked me. You asked me.
I'm sure he does say that.
No, yeah, he says that, and it says in Acts as well. It says in Galatians, the book you're reading.
Without knowing as much as you, without having read the Bible and Quran fully, only glimpses of
Who
them.
me? Oh, you. You.
I'm not as much as you know.
Okay,
It's
so
only
why are you
religion.
arguing?
Okay, I'm not, but Islam started in 600 after Christ. The prophets are Muhammad, etc. The trilogy of Abrahamic religion is a trilogy of 3 equal religions. Abrahamic God is one, and 3 religions are the siblings of the same God with our own personalities. You say, me saying like my brother, like I'm better than my brother. You saying that you're better than Christianity is like me saying I'm better than my brother. My brother, who will have the same father, will never talk to me again, and that's why Islam is becoming unpopular to me, because of the fanatism it creates. Another Muslim told me that Buddha can also be a prophet of Allah. This people take it as far as the Hindu gods are also prophets of Allah, because Allah is the only God. Let me conclude.
Yeah.
I said that.
Is it true?
Buddha is a prophet of Allah.
Yeah. He's saying Prophet Stable.
Because Allah is the only God.
Yeah.
That's why I said in general.
She's emotional, isn't she? She's emotional.
Buddha must come.
Look, leave all of this moral indignation. Leave all of this moral indignation.
The 12 ancient gods of Greece are all prophets of Allah, because Allah is the only real God.
This is absurd. Have you finished?
Are all prophets of
Have you finished?
Allah, because Allah.
This is very ethical. You stood here talking about moral indignation, that Muslims shouldn't be like this, they're meanies and all of this, and now you're just making things up. I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you about Greece, because you're from Greece. I'll tell you something about Greece, yeah? I'll tell you about Greece. Now, you mentioned the 12 gods of Greece. Now, these gods of Greece was actually erected in Judea. It was known as Capitolon Alia. You didn't know that. It was Jupiter, Juno, Minerva. And this was the first trinity established by the Emperor Hadrian in the doors of Judea. After that, Judaism became illegal. And that's when Gentile Christianity flourished. And that's where you had the idea, and that's where you had the idea. No. So it's not our gods, it's your gods. Do you understand? Do you understand?
So
That you see, we have nothing to do with these 12 gods of Rome. This is your gods. Yeah, good.
So you have
you know what Aristotle says? He's another one of your. You know Aristotle? He said, huh?
I love Aristotle.
Yeah, Aristotle said, that the, one is in three and three is in one. Thus, we should worship God in three. What kind of demented logic is that? No, that's not Christian. This was this is philosophy. Philosophy one. There is Trinity. This is what they believe in.
We're a philosophical religion.
Yeah?
That's a big difference. We're a philosophical
Yeah. But not all of you. Yeah.
I find that a lot of disagreements that come between Muslims and Christians is...
Let's have goodwill discussion.
Yeah, I promise I am nice.
I know, but you've been so nervous with
Yeah.
me. Yeah, but I want to be nice
It's
too.
Lent, I'm fasting.
Oh, yeah, good one. We start fresh, new page.
Where are you
I do find that a lot of the issues that come between Christians and Muslims on understanding is we do like philosophy.
Yeah.
Our book wasn't written directly by God. It was written by the hands of man, inspired by God. So we don't have to believe the Bible has everything in it.
Yeah, of course.
We like philosophy because it has, the Bible doesn't have every single word that we need written in it.
Of course.
So philosophy is a helpful way to draw...
Navigating or something, yeah? Okay.
As a Catholic, I believe that the philosophy that can come from the Catholic Church can be inerrant.
The philosophy from the... Okay, so this is interesting. So how you know... Oh my gosh. You know, you lot are doing my head in today, isn't it? But,
I'm sorry.
but it's alright, it's all love. So, Paul says it many times, that you should stay away from vain speech and philosophy. And he says it many times. For example, in 1 Corinthians, he says in First Corinthians, verse 22, Jews demand signs, but the Greeks look for wisdom. And he's actually telling them off because they're looking for wisdom. They're looking for this philosophy. In another place, he says that he condemns, I'm trying to find the verse, he openly condemns philosophy. Let me see if I could find the verse.
What he's doing is philosophy is
So
the problem.
Yeah.
As an apostle, he had the power of doing good philosophy. So he was condemning people that were making their own fallible proclamation.
Vain philosophy. So yeah, some of the exegetes, they say...
Which is why we would say it's important that the Catholic Church has a power of infallibility to make the correct philosophical approach.
Ethan, you know I know you're a nice guy. I've got a good eye. I can see when a person is a nice guy. But I can see when like some people like get, you know, it's cameras. You get sometimes it's edgy. Yeah, I know. But anyway, we're starting again. So Paul, so some Christians believe that you should not use philosophy because of Paul. But I understand there's some Christians that look at the Bible through philosophical lens. But this is the problem that we have as Muslims, that your approach is what causes you to get to things like the deification of Jesus and the Trinity. Now, it's an approach.
Philosophy is what causes you to have massive problems.
Yeah,
I would say it's... Yeah, if people were to make philosophical proclamations and they didn't have an infallible magisterium behind them like the Catholic Church, that's a problem. But I would also say if you didn't have any philosophical theory at all, you also meet with issues.
But where would you say like the church? How do you justify that the church is infallible?
Because have I forgotten this? Matthew
No, just
16,
off
verse
the
18
top.
to 19.
Yeah.
You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the powers of death shall not prevail against it. The Catholic Church holds that to be a confirmation of oral tradition handed down by the apostles. So the apostles affirmed that as oral tradition, and then it was also written down in the scripture.
So Peter is the pillar of
We would say he was the first pope.
Peter, the first pope, he's in Rome, and he's the pillar of the church. How many pillars of the?
He's the rock of the church.
Yeah, and he's also 1/3 of the pillar of the church.
There are lesser subjugated branches of the church.
So
All of the churches, if you look through a lot of the epistles, they are, the church in Rome making instruction to churches elsewhere in the world, who then defer onto the church in Rome.
So what we believe,
The Old Testament shows that the churches elsewhere in the world were.
do you think that they're their earliest church, the Roman Church? Are they the earliest church?
I think wherever St. Peter was sat, probably yes. St.
Okay,
Peter was an apostle.
so in the Council of Jerusalem, which happened about the year 50 AD.
I think it's a problem saying Rome specifically because I'm sure the see has moved around. But we call it the see.
The
of
sea, I know,
Peter.
yeah. Okay, but ultimately, oh, you're gone. Okay, baby. Okay, I'm gonna be in Leicester. maybe. Yeah. So I'm gonna go break iftar and then come Leicester. Nice seeing you. Iftar, innit? So basically, I'll make it really short. When Jesus came, he taught about monotheism. He taught his disciples. The disciples set up the first church. This church was in Jerusalem. Later, biblical writers and church fathers say that the first church was established in Jerusalem. It's known as the Jerusalem Church. It's also known as the Way. It's also known as the Jesseans. And Epiphanes of Salamis, the heresiologist, he writes this much later. He says that they only worship one God. And Epiphanes, through the lens of a Trinitarian, he's saying that he's saying that the companions of Jesus, they're blasphemous. He's saying that this is a heresy. But here I'm saying, but Jesus taught these, he handpicked these persons by his own, as you say, divine hand, but yet they get the message wrong. But we're supposed to believe, so they set up the first church. Sorry, I'm speaking so fast, I'm going to leave now, They set up the first church. The first 15 churches, as the church fathers say, were of the circumcision. You know what that means? That means all 15 of them were circumcised. Now what happened?
The
Hebrew law, Hebrew language. That's what James.
There's an argument between churches about whether circumcision is necessary.
Excellent. So because men of James keep going to Paul, the uncircumcised group, he calls them dogs as well. And James, he goes to Paul in the end and he says, do you see all of these men, thousands of zealous people, Jews hungry for the law or zealous for the law? He said there were thousands of them, meaning that they believed in Christ. The earliest followers, they were in Judea and they believed. And Jesus said, go ye not into the Gentile. This is known as the lesser, well, he sends them out, I forget the word comes off. And he said, don't go ye not into the Gentile. I've only come from the lost sheep of Israel. Salvation is given to the Jews. He said many times, I've only sent to these Jews. He doesn't say that he's been sent to the Gentiles. The message of Gentiles came later with Paul, but we get onto that. So the early church was in Jerusalem. What happened is the fire was...
It wasn't just Paul, there was the Great Commission. Go forth and make believers.
Limited commission, this is it. But this comes later in the ending of Mark, No, he gave you that, but it doesn't mean anything. But this comes first when? Where does the Great Commission come? Think about it. Where does it come? The ending of?
It's going to be John.
The ending of Mark. And the ending of Mark is what? It's a fake ending.
Well, church fathers would disagree with you.
No.
Scholars disagree.
No.
Church fathers
No.
disagree.
Everyone knows that this longer ending, shorter ending, both are not fake. It finishes at chapter 16, verse 9.
You realize I believe in the Bible because I believe in the church.
I can handle. But I'm just talking playing from a critical point of view. There's a limited commission where Jesus says he's clearly only sent to the Jews. He calls a woman a dog. He says the bread should not of the children. Hear me. He said the bread of the children should not be given to the dogs, meaning the Canaanite woman. So I'm not trying to say. No, but the point. But the point I'm trying to say is a limited.
What does he do?
I get it. But because he said, because of your faith. I agree. But scholars point out that they're here. I'm trying to do it so quickly, Ethan. So scholars point out there's something called a limited commission. There's a greater commission, meaning this commission is greater than the limited commission. But the limited commission was Jesus saying to the Jews, stay in Judea. He said this, stay in Judea. So they didn't go out. In fact, we know that the companions did not go out. Jesus' disciples did not go out to rest of Rome and on this, like the church says to you. How do we know this? Because in Acts it says, and Acts is written many years after the apostles. Acts is written many years after. They say Acts is written in maybe the year 90. But they say it's written in the year 90. It says no, but I'm not digging, I'm not saying dig, I'm just not dig. The point I'm trying to say, Acts many years later is saying that the apostles of Jesus are living where? In Judea. James is the one that has the Council of Nicaea in the year 50. Jesus was said to have died 20 years before that. If Jesus gave the Greater Commission, why did the companions not go out? What? No, this is the thing. So Saint Paul,
Saint Paul had a different kind
Paul says to me, this I'm saying, there's no evidence really of this. And I could go into this. This is another topic, but I have to go now. But Paul, Saint Paul says, I have been sent to the Gentiles, while you have been sent to.
Agree with Saint Paul.
Good. Where's Peter? Paul believes he's been sent to the Gentiles. He believes the other Sabs are sent to the Jews. Yeah, because it shows that Peter isn't sent to the Gentiles. You understand? Yeah, I'm gonna go think. Ethan, it was nice to speak to you. Sorry about that cut short thing. Yeah, I apologize so much about it. I have to go Ilford real quickly. Yeah, baby, nice speaking to you.
Saying, you know what, we want to have our own laws. So what would you say to that?
So who is saying that?
Anyone. It doesn't matter. It's a
I'm
question,
going
right?
East London. Huh? Yeah, are you going? Oh, I'm going.